Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Jen's Books. It's that time again. I've been back to the library and I have a haul to share with you. So interesting always. I've got a whole bag of exciting books. So the first one I picked out was Femlandia by Christina Doucher. This is one that's been going in and out of my Amazon wish list for quite some time, and I saw it in the library and I thought, no, I'm going to pick this up and have a read. So the information, I think it's a sort of a dystopian type story. Miranda Reynolds has lost her home, her job and her husband, all thanks to an economic collapse that has brought America to its knees. The shops are empty, the streets no longer safe. Miranda and her daughter Emma have nowhere left to turn. There is one final hope, a self-sufficient haven for women who want to live a life free from men, Femlandia. For Miranda, the secluded Femlandia is her last resort. Life outside the gates is fraught with danger, but there's something just as sinister going on within. Welcome to Femlandia. It's no place like home. So it sounds like a bit of a thriller. It sounds like a bit of a dystopian novel, which you know I like. So I'm looking forward to reading that one, and it's quite high up on my priorities for reading for April. Next is a book that I saw all over the place, Lessons by Ian McEwan. This is one that I didn't want to buy, mostly because it's chunky, but it is one that I was quite intrigued by. And this is written, it's based just after the Second World War. When the world is still counting the cost of the Second World War and the Iron Curtain has descended, young Roland Bain's life is turned upside down. 2,000 miles from his mother's protective love, stranded at an unusual boarding school, his vulnerability attracts his piano teacher, Miriam Cornell, leaving scars as well as a memory of love that will never fade. 25 years later, Roland's wife mysteriously vanishes, leaving him alone with their baby son. He's forced to confront the reality of his rootless existence. As the radiation from the Chernobyl disaster spreads across Europe, he begins a search for answers that look deep into his family history and will last for the rest of his time. I'd really like to know if anybody's read this one and whether you'd recommend it. It's not one that I was immediately drawn to, but I've heard good things about it. So I thought I would give it a go despite the fact it's thick. So I'd love to know what anybody thinks who's read that. Next, I've got Maureen Fry and the Angel of the North by Rachel Joyce. I'm a really big fan of The Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, which was the precursor to this particular book. And so when I saw this in the library, I had to pick it up. And they're making a film of, or they've made a film with Jim Broadbent of The Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. So it's very timely to pick this one up as well. Maureen Fry has settled into the quiet life she now shares with her husband, Harold, after his iconic walk across England. Now, 10 years later, an unexpected message from the north disturbs her equilibrium again. This time it is Maureen's turn to make her own journey. But Maureen is not like Harold. She struggles to bond with strangers, and the landscape she crosses has changed radically. She has little sense of what she'll find at the end of the road. All she knows is she must get there. And I really enjoy Rachel Joyce's writing. If you're interested in this one, do read The Pilgrimage of Harold Fry first. I think it will make more sense. There's actually another one as well, The Tale of Queenie Hennessy, which is one of the characters from the original book. So I've not read that one actually, but I picked this one up because I really wanted to read more about Maureen and Harold and their relationship. But yeah, really enjoyed the first book, and that sort of sense of quiet resilience and determination that Harold has in his journey. And so I'm looking forward to reading that. And I've met Rachel Joyce. I have to say she's an absolute delight, which helps, I think, when I'm selecting which books I want to read. The next one is Salt Glow by Julia Armfield, and this is a collection of short stories. I do like to read short stories as well. I write quite a few short stories. It says on the back, in her brilliantly inventive and haunting debut collection of stories, Julia Armfield explores bodies and the bodily, mapping the skin and bones of her characters through their experiences of isolation, obsession, love and revenge. Teenagers develop ungodly appetites, a city becomes insomniac, and bodies are diligently picked apart to make up better ones. The mundane worlds of schools and sleepy seaside towns are invaded and transformed, creating a landscape which is constantly shifting to hold on to its inhabitants. So it sounds sort of like speculative fiction, and I really like the idea of some of the premises of those stories. I've heard mixed things about it. It got a lot of acclaim, but I have heard mixed things about this collection, so I'm looking forward to reading it, and I'll tell you what I think when I get through it. What else is in my bag? I feel like Santa with this big black bag. The next one is more of a classic, Stella Gibbons' Cold Comfort Farm. You'll remember from one of my previous videos when I talked about a book that I bought, which is What Writers Read, and this is one of the books that was discussed in that book. So I thought that I would pick it up with an opportunity to read it without having to buy it. I mean, it says on the back, brilliant, very probably the funniest book ever written. Well, I'll be the judge of that, and I'll let you know. It says, when sensible, sophisticated Flora Post is orphaned at 19, she decides her only choice is to descend upon relatives in deepest Sussex. At the aptly named Cold Comfort Farm, she meets the doomed Star Cadders, cousin Judith heaving with remorse for unspoken wickedness, Amos preaching fire and damnation, their sons lustful Seth and despairing Reuben, and crazed old Aunt Doom, who saw something nasty in the woodshed, which is kind of a famous quote, isn't it, from this book. But Flora loves nothing better to organise other people and resolves to take each of them in hand. A hilarious parody of rural melodramas, Cold Comfort Farm is one of the best love comic novels of its time. It's quite funny actually, because it's part of me that thinks I read this before, but the fact that I can't remember it particularly. I'm not sure if that's an indicator of how I'm going to find it this time through. But again, I'll let you know what I think. Next, we have Diary of a Somebody by Brian Bilston, who's a poet. You can follow him on Facebook as well. It says the midlife answer to Adrian Mole ? But it's quite funny. I know this is going to be funny and make me laugh. It was on the Costa Book Awards shortlist as well. It's January the 1st and Brian Bilston's life needs to change. His ex-wife has taken up with a new man, a motivational speaker and marketing guru to boot. He seems constantly to disappoint his long-suffering son, and at work he's drowning in a sea of spreadsheets and management jargon. Brian's resolution is to write a poem every day. Poetry will be his salvation, but there's an obstacle to his happiness in the form of Toby Salt, his arch nemesis at Poetry Club and rival suitor to Liz, Brian's new poetic inspiration. When Toby goes missing, Brian is the #1 suspect. Part tender love story, part murder mystery, part description of wasted life, and interspersed with some of the funniest poems about the mundane and the profound. Diary of a Somebody is a unique, original and hilarious novel. So another fun read, and you can see by flicking through it, it's in the form of a diary, and I just did a crossword, and so it's full of little funny poems. And I know from following this account on Facebook, it often makes me laugh out loud. So I'm really looking forward to reading that one. Next, we have a book that I keep getting recommended on Kindle, and it's not one that I would have picked up actually, but I saw it in the library and I thought we'd have a go. And actually reading the back of it, I'm wondering whether I will actually really enjoy it. So it's by Sara Cox. The dilapidated community centre is no longer the beating heart of the estate that single mum Becky remembers from her childhood, but the new pottery class she's helped set up feels like it could be a fresh start, and not just for her. As Becky and her neighbours come together to try out a new skill, unremarkable lumps of clay are hesitantly, lovingly transformed, and so too are their lives, moulding friendships, throwing relationships off centre and revealing concealed passions. But what happens when the cracks begin to show? So this is Thrown by Sara Cox, and again I have a feeling it's going to be quite a light and enjoyable read. Just what I want to read in spring, something light and enjoyable. Next, we have Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. I vaguely remember watching the film at some point in the past. Can't remember a whole lot about it, but I've heard really good things about this book. It's about two sisters who practice magic. As children, sisters Gillian and Sally were forever outsiders in their small England town, teased, taunted and shunned for the sense of magic that seemed to hang in the air around them. All Gillian and Sally ever wanted was to get away. Years later, tragedy brings the sisters back together. They'll find that no matter what else may happen, they'll always have each other. So it says, an enchanting tale of love, forgiveness and family. Practical magic is one of Alice Hoffman's best-loved novels and the basis of the classic movie, but I've never read the book. So I've picked this up. It's one that I've been looking at for a while, but hadn't got around to reading. So good thing about getting in a library book, I've got a time frame that I have to read it by. So that's why I picked that particular one up. And you'll be pleased to know we're nearly at the bottom of the bag now. Next we have Anne Taylor, French Braid. For those of you who watched my March videos, you'll know that I've recently read The Redhead by the Side of the Road, and I had kind of mixed feelings about it, but I can understand why, why Anne Taylor's a beloved writer. So I saw this one, and again, it's one that I didn't really want to pay to read after my experience of the other book, but I really wanted to give it a go at the same time. And after talking about Harold and Maureen Fry, it has a quotation from Rachel Joyce on the front which says, exquisitely crafted, tender, hilarious and devastatingly precise. The blurb says, when the kids are grown and Mercy Garrett gradually moves out of the family home, everyone is determined not to notice. Over at her studio, she wants space and silence. She won't allow any family clutter, not even their cat Desmond. Yet it is a clutter of untidy moments that forms the Garrett's family life. Over the decades, whether that's a painstaking Easter lunch or giving a child a ride, a fateful train journey or an unexpected homecoming, it all begins in 1959 with a family holiday to a cabin by the lake. It's the only one the Garretts will ever take, but its effects will ripple through the generations. So my kind of, not complaint, but my observation about The Redhead by the Side of the Road was that there wasn't a huge amount of plot. But what Anne Tyler's really good at is exploring the relationships between people in a way that feels real. And this sounds like it's actually quite intriguing, and quite a lot's going to take place. So I am looking forward to reading that one. Last but not least, we have You Have a Friend in 10A, and these are stories by Maggie Shipstead. You'll know that she was shortlisted for the Booker for The Great Circle, which is still on my list, still on my shelf, should I say, to read, and had loads of acclaim and really positive feedback. And I thought maybe if I start with her short stories, I'll then feel a bit more ready to tackle the chunky, the Great Circle that is on the shelf. So the blurb says, a love triangle plays out over decades on a Montana dude ranch. A hurdler and a gymnast spend a single night together in the Olympic Village. Mistakes and mysteries weave an intangible web around an old man's deathbed in Paris. On the slopes of an unfinished ski resort, a young woman searches for her vanished lover. A couple's Romanian honeymoon goes ominously awry, and in the mesmerising title story, a former child actress breaks with her life in a Hollywood cult. Diving into eclectic and vivid settings, You Have a Friend in 10A excavates the complexities of love, sex and life with unsparing wit and tenderness. So I do like a short story, and as I write short stories myself, it kind of feels like it's incredibly, well, it is incredibly important to read as many short stories as I can to see what's out there and think about what other people are doing. I've mentioned this before, but as a writer, it's important to read as widely as you can, because that's how you learn about what you like and what works for you. So I'm glad to have a couple of collections of short stories to read. I've still got some in the other piles of books that I have to read, but I'd really like to know, if anybody's read this, what your thoughts are. So that's my library haul for April. I can't wait to read those. It's just a struggle to know where to start. If there are any books you'd like me to read or review, or any sorts of areas of recommendations that you're interested in, please do let me know. If you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe and come along on my journey. My whole plan for this year was to read at least 100 books in 2023, and so far I've read 52, and it's only the beginning of April, so I'm going to smash it, completely smash it. So come along with me for the ride. I might up the number to 150 yet, but not till I reach 100. I don't want to be overly ambitious. But it's really lovely to have you along. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the comments. Thanks again. Bye.